the bourbon's never tasted sweeter than it has tonight here with you for an all-new episode of Beef Sticks Podcast. Yeah. Everything is as your perspective would deem. Wrestling's pretty good for me, because I haven't been watching. I heard good things about AEW this week and made me kind of want to tune in. Surprising that people are saying good things when Cody beat Darby Allin to knock him out of the tournament. But, I guess the general consensus is people like Cody as a face and want to see him have some gold. Well, yeah. Right. Very nice.
Bit while Sting did everything and then threw him in a scorpion deathlock. Well, I guess, Pasty, don't have a lot at the top of the show, so that kind of brings us to this week in pro wrestling history.
Oh, shit, it does.
And, of course, on
this week.
It is. On April 30th, 1977, 43 years ago, superstar Billy Graham defeated Bruno Sammartino to win the WWF Championship. The win ended Sammartino's second and final run as WWF champion. Of course, the Italian strongman held the title for 1,237 days at the time. It was the second longest championship reign in company history. That distinction would end up being surpassed twice. First by Bob Backlund, who held it for 2,135 days.
It's so crazy to think that he had that lengthy of a run. It's Bob Backlund.
Backlund?
Yeah.
Oh, but he was, people just think of him from his 90s run in WWF. They don't think of the Bob Backlund of old. Mm. But that 2,135-day run only counts if you don't include an Antonio Inoki title run that is not recognized by the WWE. Then, of course, the Hulkster himself, Hulk Hogan, would come in at 1,474 days in the height of Hulkamania. Graham won the title on an illegal pin as he had his feet on the ropes for leverage. Ironically, Graham would lose the title the following February on an illegal pin. His foot was on the ropes as Bob Backlund pinned him. Bittersweet.
Yes, indeed.
And a little ironic, don't you think?
A little too ironic. Now, what does JR think?
There's always an excuse for an issue that is not their fault. They were only trying to make a living and, quote unquote, feed my family. I want to feed my family.
Jesus Christ.
God forbid they want to feed their families.
Right.
Just want to feed my family.
Sounds like someone's a little bitter.
So that other people have families. If I can't feed my family, you can't feed yours. Sassafras. Oh, good old JR. His ramblings just make the world go round.
It is. If they didn't feed their families, how would anybody buy his JR's barbecue sauce?
Maybe that's why he's mad. Maybe none of them were buying his barbecue sauce. That's what pissed him off about it.
He's not in supermarkets. That's the problem. People have to look to find his stuff. That's your fault, JR. It's not everybody's fault.
Just love the anger and contempt in his voice when he says it, too. You can tell he's really passionate about how shitty it is that they want to feed their family. Oh, that JR. He can ramble. I'm actually listening to the Dr. Death Steve Williams episode of Grillin' JR right now, and I just started the beginning of it a little while ago, and it's not bad, but he has he's talking a lot of football at the beginning. Probably the first 20 minutes of it is all football, which Dr. Death had a huge football background and everything, and I get it, and JR is a huge football fan, but
yeah.
God, when I tune into I like football to watch, but I don't want to sit and listen about it. I want to sit and listen about pro wrestling.
Has JR ever announced for the NFL? Why did he never do that?
He's announced for college.
Yeah, I figured that much.
Yeah, never for the NFL, no.
That's weird.
Yeah?
Weirdness. I don't know. When you got a gift with the voice like he does, you think you'd take it wherever you could. And he loves football.
Yeah, look at Tony Schiavone. He does commentary for the Atlanta Braves, MLB.
Mm-hmm. Who likes
He
baseball?
loves it. He loves his baseball. Nobody knows why he loves his baseball. Nobody knows why anybody would love baseball.
I liked baseball when I was like real young, like kindergarten and before that.
When you just enjoyed watching balls go back and forth and watch, like, oh, look at the ball go. Yeah. I hear
baseball, you lose baseball real early in life.
You do. It's like pacifiers. It's just an unnecessary thing that it's best to just cut out as soon as possible.
And everybody who plays pro ball is just unable to cope. They have no coping mechanisms. So
exactly.
I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess that means it's time for our new segment, huh, Fat Mac?
I suppose it's a new segment, first time ever, probably last time ever, because I don't know how many of these you can dig up, and we dug up a good amount. It'd probably be a good few years before we could do another segment on it. So, you folks get the best of the best. Yeah. In the segment we like to call, It's All Relative.
That's right, folks. We are breaking ground to bring you pairings of wrestlers who you probably didn't know are related. Now, there's lots in WWE like, oh, I didn't know Jay and Jimmy Uso were related. Well, we're skipping those ones.
I like that one.
And we're getting down to the dirt.
Yes, sort of the...
I don't know, I looked at some lists, and some lists had Matt and Jeff on it. I'm like, shoot yourself.
Right. Yeah, it's like, and then of course there's the Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, but I think enough people talk about them, and I know for sure we have talked enough about it on the show that our listeners all know that they are related.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I did consider putting them on the list, though, because I feel like it could be told to people again.
It could, and honestly, it seems like when I was going over this,
his being related to Bray Wyatt seems like it really paid off in the last couple of days. We'll get into that.
Exactly. But it almost feels like the newer people, folks know are related, because with the internet around, whenever somebody new starts, immediately they say, oh, this guy was hired on WWE. This guy's also the brother of this, or that. So a lot of them are the older ones. In fact, I think we only have one. Well, they're not even current, but one current, newer group of people that folks wouldn't know about, probably. And I think that's it. All of them are pretty much legends.
It's a history lesson, folks.
It is. The best kind. When you can't go to school right now because social distancing and everything, turn on Beef Sticks podcast for your history lesson. Just
you're going to have
put
to
it on
censor it for your children yourself. Good luck with that. Fuckers.
Who's starting this one off, Pasty?
I guess I can handle it for you. Fat Mac. Mike Awesome could have been the Hulk Hogan of ECW. Big, charismatic, silly haircut. He had it all. And maybe that could have been because Awesome is the real-life nephew of Hulk Hogan. Then again, they aren't actually blood. Instead, being related through Horace Hogan, Michael Balea.
Good old Michael Balea.
I like Horace Hogan. That's a good one.
You're the only one. He did a little bit in I almost said Canada, in Japan. Yeah, that's kind of that's one of them that was news to me. I discovered this
Horse Hogan, and I want to see like a horse, Hulk
like
Hogan.
a horse with the
Jacked
Fu
up.
Manchu.
Yeah.
This is one I recently learned about, probably in the last year, and I really didn't believe it, and I had to look it up and do a little research into it, and it's like, oh yeah, they are actually related, not blood related, but it's like, well, that did Mike Awesome about as good as it did Horace Hogan,
Right.
you know.
Right. And the
You'll
Samoan families get away with not blood relations all the time.
Exactly. Sometimes not even through marriage. So we're looking at you, Rock.
Yeah.
But two legends, Roddy Piper and Bret Hart. Pasty, they were great adversaries, both in WWF and WCW. They are both legends of the mat and WWE Hall of Famers. But they are also cousins, and believe it or not, by blood. They grew up together in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, despite the very Scottish theme of Rowdy Roddy Piper, who is of Scottish descent, but he was born and raised Canadian,
Rodney Hart. That would have been funny to see.
Rodney Hart. It would have been great to see him in the Hart Foundation when they brought back the Hart Foundation, when they had Pillman and Bulldog and all of them in there.
Yeah.
That would have been cool to see the Hot Rod up in it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was in WCW at the time. But
Did they ever draw those lines, like, in wrestling?
no, they never explicitly said it, like, on commentary or anything like that. Piper has said in his book, and Bret have both said in their book, they had talked about how, I think Piper specifically said that he wasn't ready to face his cousin Bret when they had their first match in WWF, but he said it turned out being a great one, and Bret has talked about his cousin Piper, like when Roddy died, he said, you know, I miss my cousin or lost my cousin. So I mean, they've been public with it, but I don't think any wrestling company has actually ever said anything on commentary.
It's just funny. At one point, Bret must have been like, you know, they're kids, and they're deciding they want to be wrestlers, and they're drawing those lines, and Bret's like, okay, we're all gonna be the Hart family, except for you, Roddy. You're a Piper. You go play over there in the dirt with yourself.
If you want to be a Hart, you got to quit wearing those damn skirts, Piper. I told you that before. Funny fuckers.
Yeah. Well, Tessa Blanchard has become a superstar in wrestling and has redefined gender roles in the process. The first ever female world champion learned much growing up. Of course, we all know her father, Tully Blanchard, of the Four Horsemen. Had to have shown her a thing or two, but some folks forget she had another Hall of Fame father, just as much knowledge and experience. Her father-in-law, Magnum T.A., who lived on with her family at age 4. I don't know where I got the on from.
He lived on.
And
he lives on to this day.
Yes.
So
and
that's good.
Funny thing, Magnum T.A., those letters are in the name Tessa. You know, that's where she got her gimmick from.
Exactly. I can see it. I think you're right there. It had nothing to do with the old Magnum P.I. character that looked a lot like Magnum T.A.
Nothing. That's all coincidence.
I'm telling you what, I think Burt Reynolds would love to be Magnum. It also probably has nothing to do with the fact that his real name is Terry Allen, I believe. T.A. Terry Allen. Boy, Magnum
Ta.
Magnum Ta. Magnum T.A. is way better than Terry Allen.
Yeah.
That's a very blasé name.
Uh-huh.